Hey y'all, today I'm going to be showing you how to make sweet potato pie. To make your pie, you're going to need a pre-made pie crust, 2 medium sweet potatoes, 4 tablespoons of softened butter, 1.5 cups of sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 eggs, and a 5-ounce can of evaporated milk. If your can is larger than 5 ounces, then just measure out 3/4 of a cup. For the equipment, you'll need an electric mixer, dry measuring cups, measuring spoons, a fork, a peeler. If you don't have a peeler, you can use a small paring knife to peel your potatoes. You'll also need a pie pan, a cutting board and chef's knife, a colander for rinsing your potatoes, a large mixing bowl, and a large pot to boil your potatoes. Let's begin by filling a pot a little less than halfway full of water. Put that burner on high heat and wait for that to begin boiling. While we're waiting for it to begin boiling, we will start peeling and cutting our potatoes that will be going into that pot. So you can see here that I'm simply peeling or just removing the skin from the potato. You can do this directly over a trash can if you would like. All these scraps that are going into this bowl are just going to be thrown away. Now keep in mind, if you don't have a peeler at home, you can also use a paring knife, but just make sure that you are very careful and ask an adult for help. Now that I have my potatoes completely peeled, I'm going to cut them into large chunks. This is going to help them boil faster and it will make it easier to mash them. By now your water should be rapidly boiling. We're going to add the sweet potatoes to this boiling water and allow them to cook for about 15 minutes until they become tender. While the potatoes are boiling, I'm going to get my pie crust ready. I have here a glass pie dish. You may have a metal one, it's going to work just the same, and I've sprayed it with non-stick cooking spray. I'm going to use the rolled pie crust, and all you need to do is unroll it and mold it to fit your pan. Now I'm using a larger pie pan, so as you can see, there's not much to fold over the edge. However, if you have a smaller one or really just a normal size pie pan, you should notice that this dough kind of folds over the edge of your pie pan. And even though mine does not have much of an edge, I'm going to show you what you should do with that extra dough that folds over the edge. So here is where you would probably see an extra amount of dough. Again, my pie pan's a little big for this, but all you'll need to do is pinch it with your fingers to make kind of a crimped edge, or use a fork and go around the edge and press it with a fork to make little crimps. So you'll do that around your entire pie pan. I know mine looks a little silly because I don't have much extra on the edge, but normally you'll have a good amount of dough that is folding over. Next, we're going to use that same fork to poke holes all throughout the bottom of our pie crust. Once you have done this, you should put this in the refrigerator and let it sit until we're ready to pour the filling in. By this point, your potatoes should have been boiling for about 15 minutes and they should be pretty tender. We're now going to transfer them from the pot to our mixing bowl. So you can do this with a strainer and pour it over your sink, or if you have a slotted spoon like I have here, you can just dip them out. Now using our fork again, we are going to mash these potatoes until they are smooth and have as little lumps as possible. Next, we're going to add 4 tablespoons of softened butter to these potatoes. So this is half a stick of butter, and remember, you know it's softened when you can press it with your finger and it leaves a little indentation. Now we're going to use our dry measuring cups and add 1.5 cups of white sugar to this mixture as well. Next, you'll add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of nutmeg, as well as 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now using an electric mixer, we're going to blend this together. Keep blending until it looks pretty smooth. You may still have some small chunks in there, and that's okay. Now we're going to add 2 eggs and blend that well with our electric mixer. And for our last ingredient, we are going to add evaporated milk. If you have a 5-ounce can, then you're going to add the entire can. However, if your can is larger than that, you just want to measure out 3/4 of a cup of evaporated milk and add that. Now we're going to give it one last mix with our electric mixer, and then I'm going to use a rubber spatula to get those ingredients off of the side of the bowl to mix those in as well. Now it's time to pour the filling into the pie crust. So we're just going to pour this straight in, and we're going to bake this at 375 degrees for 40 to 50 minutes. I would highly recommend placing your pie pan on top of a baking sheet just to avoid spills from baking over. So how do I know when my pie is ready? At the 40-minute mark, you want to move your pan to see if your pie jiggles like this. So you can see in the middle, it still looks a little liquidy and jiggly. It is not done. So leave your pie in for about 10 more minutes and then check it again. So as you can see, after 10 minutes, it is no longer jiggly and it is ready to come out. I hope you guys enjoy your sweet potato pie, and hopefully this will be a great addition to your Thanksgiving table.